Good morning. Welcome to a brand new podcast. Two big guys in Grover from the brand new 100X Studios in beautiful downtown Platte City.
Platte City.
Yeah, Platte City.
We have moved about
63 steps up the road.
yeah, which puts us in a brand new community under new jurisdiction with a different mayor.
New laws.
New laws.
New medicinal laws.
Which is true, though, in all reality. I mean, the things that do change, it's amazing that no farther than we truly did move. I mean, we did move offices, and now all of a sudden there are a lot of different...
Yeah, and if you ever try to find us, we're easily located down from the courthouse, right beside the CBD store.
Yep.
And a foreign car parts store.
Yep. And don't forget the doggy spa.
Oh, and the dog spa.
The dog spa.
Yep. So
we have the bed and
nice.
breakfast across the street.
In all honesty, I mean, we make jokes about it, but it is a nice little area. I mean, our office is actually, where we're at here. It's not the big truss system. We've changed the look a little bit, but as far as what we're doing and how we're able to do things, it's definitely a step up, and we're excited.
Yeah, but truth be known, we didn't choose to give up the trust.
Yeah.
We gave up the trust because our ceiling won't.
We would have brought back the trust.
We're bringing it back. We've got a big thing coming. We're bringing it back.
So how's the COVID treating y'all? The COVID. So somebody got on me the other day. Why do you call it what it is? Don't call it
the China.
I just want to call it the COVID.
The China virus.
Yeah, the China virus.
Come on, man.
Yeah. COVID has been an interesting pandemic for all of us.
You know what's weird is the three of us have such different experiences. You have two little ones, little ones. You have two middle ones, and I have two older ones.
I have three.
Yeah, three. Yeah, exactly. Well, Kate's like 42, isn't he?
He acts like he's 42.
Exactly.
I was going to say he's an old man.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is different because of that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, your boys they're older, they're on the adulthood side, so it's completely different.
It affects their jobs.
Right.
Whereas yours, it's affecting their
school.
Right.
It's home.
And yours, it's affecting their daily life and travel and their parents' work.
Yeah, and Lano asked the other day, are we ever going to be able to not have to wear masks? And I just said, I hope so, babe.
But
how old are you?
We've talked about this before on here, is that, the first time that Chris and I went to China when we started 100X and we got over there, it was not uncommon to see people wear a mask.
I bet 40% of the people.
And they wore them every day. And we didn't because, one, we're Americans and we just don't think about that stuff. And
we didn't at the time.
We didn't at the time. But, I mean, my point was they are... over there, it was a part of their everyday life. Yeah. It's still a part of their everyday life. It's never changed. It's been that way for years. I can remember walking out of the hotel and having the smog be at our nose. I mean, literally nose height. And you had to you could duck underneath it and see the smog through the day. In the mornings, it was okay. But as the day went on, it was just,
wow.
It dropped on you. I mean, you remember being on the streets that night we walked and there was kind of a rain. Do you remember that? We were in that...
remember that rainy night you guys
walked
down the streets
the rickshaw?
Yeah, no, well, actually...
busted the rickshaw?
Yeah, we broke a rickshaw because at that time we were definitely two big guys, and it was a little rickshaw.
You guys danced in the rain together.
But it was raining, and there were shoes. We were in the city of shoes in China.
Was that what it's called? Shoe City?
The city of shoes.
Dongguan?
Hozhe is where we were. Okay. But back to that, they all wear masks, like everybody. Like we would get on the train in Hong Kong and people, 40% or more had mask on. We didn't think anything about it. Now, it's become second nature in the last 60 days, I would say. Now you get out of the car, you put your mask on, you go inside to whatever store you're going to, you take it off. And what I don't get with the whole mask thing, though, is like I pick up Kate every day from school, and the second I see those kids get in the car, if you watch them, they grab the front of their mask with their hands and they take them off. Like they're touching their mask.
Oh, yeah. No,
I mean, so it's like, I'm not sure what the mask is really doing at that level.
I think the funnier thing is that people lift up the mask,
smoke,
and put it back, right?
Breathe it back.
And then in the same breath go, you need to put your mask on.
Yeah.
I want to say, hey, listen, if I'm that 0.00002 that die from COVID, you're going to be that lung cancer. It's like, really? I don't understand that imbalance of reactions.
What I still think is the greatest is the National Football League.
Not me, but go ahead.
There are two teams with a group of coaches and doctors on each side of a field. No crowd. Every single one of those people have been tested and cleared by the CDC. But yet, the players don't have to wear masks, but every coach has to wear a mask.
Trainers,
the umpires and the trainers have to wear a mask. And then there is, God, I love Andy Reid. I love Andy Reid. But let me tell you what, that the old face shield that you're wearing and the little grinder helmet does not keep the COVID from coming around the outsides of that.
Hey, winner, chicken dinner. When you win, you get to do whatever you want.
Have we lost our minds?
That was my point with like the little kids and everything. It's that we are instilling fear, I think, into these little guys and girls that just doesn't. It's not necessary.
I mean, it's real.
I'm not. And you and I, and most don't know. I mean, the best man at my wedding's father-in-law, greeter at church, has literally been 14 days, I think, as of today, on a ventilator.
Yep.
They can't go in and see him. They can't do.
How old is he?
Is he 71, 72?
Yeah. So
I mean, he's in that
older.
he's
Right.
in that
He's older.
world of
Right.
COVID. But I mean, that's where it's real. But so is pneumonia. So I mean, there's lots of
got bronchitis.
yeah,
and
for him, like I said, he got it as a greeter at church. I mean, that's the only thing they can think of, because that's really the only place he goes. He's retired. He hangs out the house. But for the last 14 days, he's been on a ventilator in ICU, and like I said, his wife and mother-in-law are not able to even go in and see him. They try and FaceTime with the nurse and things like that. But that's where I think we've lost our minds. Like, it's like, I can promise you, I'd probably be locked up because the fact I'd want to be in there.
If my kid's in the hospital, I'm going
to
with
say,
you.
I mean, that's where it's like, I feel like we've lost
That's not the only place that we've lost our ways.
Yeah.
We've lost our ways in
debates.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the presidential debate and how it went
Well,
down
I'm
the
sure
other night.
everybody who's listening to us watched the debate.
Hey,
So
the
I'm sure
greatest
we don't.
30 seconds of the debate, though, was this. The candidates come out, and Trump, it said they're not supposed to shake hands. So they both come to their podium. Joe says nothing, and Trump goes, "Hey, man."
I actually didn't watch the debate. I'm not sure what I was doing. I think I was at a ball game. But
It was a train wreck.
I was hunting.
But my point is, we've allowed these two men to not just two men, because it's turned into way more than just two men.
Three of them. It's turned into three.
Well, but it's turned into our society. I mean, it's we have such a division in so many different areas right now that I don't feel, and I don't think you can blame it on any one person. I think it's we as a society have allowed it, and so therefore,
Hey, you know what? All we can do is make our world, which, I mean, our circles, our world. If everybody does just a little bit in the circles, then they kind of overlap and life will be better.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm going to do my part today. I have to get a COVID test so that I can go back to work because the Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour is back on.
woo!
Casper, Wyoming.
so how many events did they have this year? 10? Did you guys have 10?
Man, there was 2 a weekend through most of January, February. They went to Bangor, Maine, and then
Then it dried up.
quit. Then we're back in Casper for the next 2 weeks. So, and then we're going to see if they happen to add any more events after that. I don't know. That might be the last, but it's going to be 4 different events, 4 single events. So Friday night will be a long round with a short round. That will include greats like Jess Lockwood is going to be there to try to pick up extra points to see if he can overrun Jose Vitor Limi, which, as the Dragon Slayer himself, J.B. Mooney says, I don't think anybody can catch him.
Yeah.
And I think he might be right.
He's got a
Where's
pretty
the
good
point? I was trying to look at that the other day because with that, because they're going to Arlington, they're going to AT&T for their World Finals, but with the points that are eligible at World Finals, how does that stack up for guys 2 through 10 essentially?
Was he got like a 500-point lead?
He's at 1,300 right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because as of right now, the PBR World Finals are scheduled for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
Just 4 rounds. The finals has always been 5 rounds. Sean alluded to the option of maybe adding another performance on Sunday and having 2 in one day. At the announcement the other day when they announced that the PBR World Finals will be moving to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, because there was no way that Las Vegas was going to be an option this year. So for the first time in 26 years, the PBR Finals will happen in Texas. The Velocity Finals will happen in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, at the Denny Sanford Center the weekend before that. So if you could run the table, because Jose's leading the – is he leading the –
yeah, he's leading both sides. That's what I'm saying. So if he goes into South Dakota and has just keeps doing what he's doing, then all of a sudden he's in Arlington, and I'm not sure. I think they're correct. I don't think anybody can catch him at that point.
For the way that he's riding, the only other guy that I've seen step up to the plate to ride against him is Lucas Davino.
Yeah, and even Lucas though is not as consistent as Jose.
I don't know.
Keiki's back. Yep. I mean, he's back with a vengeance too. He's number 3 in the world. You got Jay Al that's right in there. Yep. I mean, who's just had an injury a couple weeks ago.
Well, here, run down the top 10. So you got Jose, JR, Keiki, Jess, Lucas Davino, who you just mentioned, Dalen Swearingen, who still has to be part of the mix. He get hot. Colton, Jesse, and Denner.
But Colton's out. I mean, Colton's in, but he's got a hip injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Colton is hoping to ride at the World Finals, but it sounds like he's out for the rest of the
same with Denner.
Denner
had a
head
skull
injury.
fracture, broken jaw. So you got Coop. Coop's still in the top 10, and then Cole.
Melanson.
Yep.
And sneaking right there, number 11 was Ezekiel Mitchell.
So let's go back to that. Out of the top 15 in the world, okay, number 15 in the world is still Fabiano Vietas, so he's not going to ride there.
Right.
That moves Alex Cerqueda up, but I'm not sure he's not hurt.
No.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Okay.
He may be hurt, but he's still riding.
Okay. He's going to go to Lincoln. I know he turned out the first night of Casper.
He may be swinging by here on Friday.
I was going to say, I think he's here tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. So out of that top 15 in the world, who to you is the most impressive? Take Jose out of the picture. Who's the guy that has impressed you the most of the 2020 season? Who shocked you, I guess, out of that?
Who's the shocking?
Yeah.
For different reasons. I mean, it's like Keiki coming back so strong, jumping all the way back up. That's pretty cool. Coop, Cooper's Cooper. Jess is Jess. Jess was out for 6 months, and he's still number 4.
Yep.
You can't deny that, right? And then some of our favorite, Dalen Swearingen, man, first half of the season was hot. Hasn't been as hot lately, Colton, Jesse,
Mm-hmm. Well, and Dalen's had to miss some events because of the C word,
right?
So.
Yeah.
Cody, who surprised you?
I don't know. I'm looking at the list here, and it's hard to pinpoint one particular guy this year because I think everybody's had their own sets of challenges outside of the arena, but inside the arena, I mean, you've got guys that have battled back. Kaiki's probably I would probably go to Kaiki right now just because for a guy to have a shoulder injury like he had and to come back and, he's a machine too. That's what people don't realize, how hard he really worked to get back. I mean, I can remember a year ago watching him on the back of the buck chutes about this time a year ago. We were down playing soccer at, you were down there, they were playing soccer, and we were at Jose's house, and he's in a sling, and you think, man, that guy, how's he ever going to get back to being a world champion with that kind of injury?
Didn't bat an eye, did he?
And that was my point. I mean, he came right back and did the necessary things to get back to where he's at. And that's why I think there are some of these guys that are truly professional athletes and not just cowboys. And I want to say that wholeheartedly because I think as kids, as they get older, they want to be cowboys. But you got to treat this as a job, just like as Coop has done. If you watch Coop work out and Kate and those things, I mean, you see Coop putting in the work. You see Jess Lockwood putting in the work. I mean, it's the trainer, the wrestler mentality for him that has allowed him to continue to be knocked down and get back up again. One, he's young. He's still got time on his side. He's not like the Dragon Slayer. He's not like those other guys. And so it's a different feel. Dalen, again,
man, he's got to get healthy.
Yeah,
think it just-
and Ezekiel Mitchell, I think, is another one. Zeke is
That's my surprise.
Yeah, Zeke has
of
jumped
the
out
season.
there and done a great job and covered some really ranked bulls. And you know what? You saw a lot of Zeke in the team challenge. You know, he's a guy's guy, and so I think the team challenge was really able to help some of those guys mature quicker.
Again, it's like watching a freshman quarterback in playing college football who's getting a start as a freshman quarterback. There's some things they do so well, but then all of a sudden, and I'm not bashing on Zeke. I mean, Zeke's one of our favorite guys, and we're around him a lot. But that's that inconsistency. If he ever gets past that part, if he ever builds that momentum to where he doesn't have the, dang, I should have rode that one. Dang, I should have rode that one.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Because
and like I said, congrats to Brennan Elder last weekend.
How about that?
Getting
Okie.
First event win of his career.
Sooner born.
Just don't take the field with a Wildcat.
That's right. Meow.
For all you.
Yeah. So if you look at the point spread, I mean, if he's at 13, if Jose is at 13-10, the next closest is JR, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's at 746. That's almost twice. Okay. Not quite, obviously. Are there at 545 point deficit? Pacheco's at 713. Jess is only at 716. It's like, are there enough points for one of those guys to, so Jose, if he's average here on out, if he doesn't win them all, but he does what he does, can really anybody catch him?
I don't think so.
I mean, you would know more than
like I said, I don't know what the point structure is going to exactly be for the World Finals. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty hard to beat him. I don't think we're going to add money and points together like the PRC is.
I was
going to
say,
that's
if you're the PRC, you just change it and you make it.
Just change the rules as you go, because that's anyway. The PBR World Finals will be in Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium November 12th through the 15th. So if you were looking at the old schedule, it was supposed to be the first weekend of November. It is now moved. The inaugural Women's World Championships, paying $750,000 to some of the best cowgirls in the country. The ending part of that will be the 13th through the 15th. That will also be in AT&T Stadium. And I think what's really exciting is what's going to happen December 5th.
I wanted to make sure I mention that.
During, it'll be while the NFR is going on, Corpus Christi, Texas, on the USS Lexington. We're taking dirt bulls, 5 teams of 3 riders to compete for the PBR Air Force Reserve Cowboys for a Cure. It's going to be a made-for-TV event that is also, in a way, I don't want to call it a charity event necessarily, but the proceeds will go to Cowboys for a Cure. So what a cool event that's going to be on
USS Lexington, right?
Yeah.
And when is that? What are the dates for that?
December 5th, which is my birthday, by the way, if anybody wants to.
Hey, if I don't talk to you between here and there, happy birthday.
Thank you. It'll be 11 a.m. Central Time start for that. So
it's one day only?
It is an afternooner, yes.
And it's just 15 guys, right?
Yep, just 15
just
guys.
15 guys, 5 teams, 3.
Yep.
That's the way I understand it.
And it's made for television and for our troops. So that's going to be a pretty awesome deal. We look at that boat. I've done a couple of Velocity Tour events in Corpus Christi, and that's always been, we've always looked out there in the bay and went, man, wouldn't it be cool? Because the Harlem Globetrotters have done it, UFC, WWE. There's been a lot of things that have happened like that. So
hockey game, I believe.
Hockey,
I think NHL was on there.
So for the PBR to go to that,
NBA was on there.
To do that, that's pretty exciting. And it's not just moving a basketball floor out there. You got to get bulls onto that boat. You got to get dirt onto that. So
I think it'd be amazing to watch the bulls come up and then in.
Yeah. I just hope they play the theme to Top Gun while they do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I hope
Richard Jones.
I hope. Yeah, Richard Jones, everyone else. I hope they do a behind the scenes how we made this happen video of that event.
They need to, and we'll go ahead and put that request in.
We'll go Monday morning meeting. Suggest that.
So we're already off schedule. I totally skipped ahead of where we were going to start, but that's okay because the PBR World Finals is going to happen first in November. So don't forget, put that on your calendars. Come to Arlington, check it out. It's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be different, of course, but what's 2020 been but different?
I've said for years that when you have an opportunity to go to Global Cup at AT&T Stadium, when we've had Iron Cowboy down there, the different events, that has such a different feel than anywhere else in the world. One, because we're in and out of the locker room of the visitor section of the Cowboys, and so that NFL feel, big mainstream media, TV. It's just so big that it always changes. The guys are different there.
Well, we talked about it last time we were there. We were talking about, man, wouldn't it be cool for the finals to be here? They could bring in, to me, it's, part of that conversation. It's so big and they could fill it, and then it was like, okay, tradition, all that kind of stuff. You know what? I'm happy we're not going to Vegas because on top of COVID, we always get the Vegas virus, the Vegas cred. So, but back to, you're right. Absolutely. It's a different
It's going to be a different feel. And it's going to be a different, the last few years of being inside T-Mobile versus Thomas and Mack, it's even a different feel. We get to that last round, we're up in the Jack Daniels room and we're waiting for, to see where we're going to end up and coming and going down, up and down the elevator and where we're at there. It's not that way at AT&T. It's you're down there. We're in and out of the locker room. I'm excited to see how they set it up because of we've had the 3 different sets of bucking shoots the last few years in T-Mobile. I'm excited to see what the PBR brings for it. I think it's going to be a really good event that is different. And again, this is a one-time deal.
Yeah,
we're back to Vegas next year with hopefully no COVID, and
I hope we're all sitting here talking about the PRCA World Finals, NFR, in the same after the event in the baseball facility.
Yeah, I hope so.
I have no doubts we will.
I hope we're sitting there going, oh man, it just had such a cool feel.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we are going to just, as far as the PRCA goes, it's going to crush it in a different round. It's because they have an opportunity to do something that they've never done. And that's, I say it all the time, being on the production side and the personnel side and all those things, the script that followed the NFR every night for everybody that listens, it was the same. You knew exactly what was going to happen where. I could have probably picked the same songs and told you what was going to happen. It was it was so fine-tuned. That's this year, it's going to be a little different. And I think that's what's exciting about it is, one, it's in Texas. I'm going to miss Vegas dearly. We spend a month a year out there between the 3 of us. And
not same.
I know you're not. I am. I'm missing it. But I'm excited for the fact of what it's going to be down there and how we're going to be able to look back and say, you remember that time that we had it in Vegas? Kind of like the same way the guys say in the old timers between Dallas, LA, and Oklahoma City. There was a time where they could say, remember when we had this in LA? And then, there was that and that. So I'm excited for that.
It'll be interesting to see if the production changes or if it pretty much follows the guidelines that it did in Las Vegas. I don't. We got a new general manager. That's Glenn Allen. He is also the CEO of the American Royal here in Kansas City.
But he doesn't take over till next year, though.
Nope. I don't believe that's true. I believe he is producing this event.
Oh, I think we need to double check because I saw him the other day. He told me not till January.
And I could be completely
when I asked him, because
wrong.
I just saw him at the American Royal Youth Rodeo, and I said, "Are you ready for Texas?" And he goes, "I'm ready for Vegas. So I'm not ready."
So
for
my
Texas.
question then is, if he's not, then who is?
Well,
because
where does Boyd fall in all that?
You have to have a producer of that event. I think there's a lot of questions that are very unknown with the NFR.
Which leads me to a whole nother conversation we can get off of or onto it. As a member of the PRCA, a membership governing body, why are we in the dark so much about so many things that we just don't know? And yet we're the ones that pay the membership to pay the fees that allow these people to, one, hold a spot on the board.
Yeah.
and to make a living, because not there. Most of those people at that level, which last I checked, they paid the same dues I pay.
Yeah.
They make a pretty good living based off the NFR and based off of,
memberships.
Yeah, the membership voting them into that position and them taking a job, and then it's.
So you're mad that
Have
you're
we
not
ever
in the
had-
No,
know?
I'm just saying.
Have we ever had a say?
That's my point. I guess that's it.
I guess the way that we have to look at it as members of the PRCA is just like we are citizens of this country. We have, and I look at the same way when I go to church and I give my tithe. I'm not going to tell my ministry staff how to spend my money because that is their job. I am giving my money to the church. They need to figure it out from there. I don't need to sit down on my deal and say, I want $20 to go to camp. I want blah, 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 blah. They need to make those decisions. It's kind of like our country. We have elected our officials to go speak on our behalf, and hopefully they have our best interest in mind. And I think,
do they have our best interest or do they have their best interest?
well, but then again, I think you take the leadership of the PRCA or any other organization, and you put that leadership the exact same as the leadership in government. That really, whose interest do they have in mind once they get into those positions? And I don't know without opening a huge can.
Well,
of
when you
worms.
go into a position and your self-worth is, or not your self-worth, but your financial worth is, $150,000, then 10 years later you're sitting on $8 million or $20 million
in politics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
then you've proven that your
Then
interest was not mine.
nothing, because I'm still
Yeah.
at the other one. I'm still at the other end.
Do I think there's been some surprises this year with, and I get that it's a weird year. I get that we have to make decisions and we have to make them quickly and do those things. But, what cities were really in the mix, we never knew. We never knew if we speculated that Oklahoma City was in the mix for the PRCA, but we never really knew. It was never really told to anybody. Were there any other cities, or were they always looking at the Dallas area? Same with our RNCFR. It went to Greeley, Colorado. Okay, why? There's not much checks and balances right now.
But for lack of a better way
I
to
don't know.
say it, your input's doesn't have any weight. It's great that you can have input and we'll listen to you kind of thing. But I'm not saying we, but as that governing body has to say, how can we accommodate the numbers? How can we accommodate the event? Sure, you would love to have it here. You'd love to have it here. You'd love to have it here. In the end, you got to think that, okay, they went through the right process because they got a facility that'll hold more than what they had in Vegas. They can spread out social distancing. It's an event facility that can handle it. Like you were saying, you got to have faith.
And with the deal like social distancing, there was no other place probably that was ready to hold it. You weren't going to get AT&T Stadium at that time of the year because of the Cowboys. I think it's an outstanding move. It's going to be way different. There's a lot of travel that's going to have to be done between Arlington and Fort Worth. The buckle presentation every night is going to be in Fort Worth at Cowtown. The Youth World Finals is going to be at Cowtown. There's going to be conventions in Fort Worth. So it's going to literally use the entire Dallas metro area, Fort Worth, Arlington metro area.
How will that affect people going back and forth? Even though it's only 15, 20 minutes.
It's not 15, 20 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
It's going to be an hour and a half.
But it won't be because of the volume of the...
Yeah, I think the volume of traffic, parking could be issues.
You better get out your pocketbook for parking,
and you got to pay for it.
There's a lot of different things. I mean,
like I said, we're not sitting here trying to bash on anything.
No,
I'm
excited.
I think it's an exciting time. I'm interested to see how we've already seen the arena layout of how they're going to turn the baseball field, the infield, into this arena. It doesn't look like it's necessarily going to be much bigger than the ground floor of the MAC.
Because they're taking basically the infield.
That's the way that it looks to me. Yeah. So, but then what does your rigging look like in a stadium with a retractable roof? Are they going to hang lights? Are we going to have the same opening effects that we've had at the NFR before? Is it going to be completely different?
Maybe it's just on a grander scale because they do kind of that stuff in the stadiums, and
Yeah.
it'll be awesome to see.
They chose the personnel for the NFR the other day, a few personnel. Andy Seiler getting to go to his very first national finals to announce. Roger Mooney going back again this year. And Bob Tallman, the voice of Texas and professional rodeo for a long, long time. He's going to get the Legend Award this year, and will announce that event in Globe Life Field in Arlington.
As he should.
As he should. He should announce if it's going to Texas and you don't use Bob Tallman.
If there's anybody that's going to announce it, it should be Bob.
Yeah, it should be Bob.
There.
So,
I'm excited. You see where steer rope and team roping are happening and tie down on the opposite side, and then it's going to be a different feel. It's going to be a different look. It's going to be so many things that we're not used to, but it's okay. I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be, hey, we're getting back to some normalcy. You see some guys traveling and they are rodeoing. You see some guys that aren't. And congrats to the top 15 that did make it. There's been a shakeup in all events, not just one. Mm-hmm. Lots of different names in there. Lots of different guys that are getting an opportunity to go this year, which is awesome because I think it's going to light a fire in the industry to see for next year. I think 21 is going to be really good with rodeos. I know we've already had some big ones already starting to cancel.
But a great announcement the other day. So the National Western in Denver will not happen next year.
No.
That was not a surprise to me at all.
Just because the timing of it was close enough.
January. It starts the first week of January.
Government. That was my.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way Denver's ran. The who's in the captain's seat in Denver doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, and that's not.
It's not South Dakota.
That's not the National Western. That's not
Wyoming.
That's not the rodeo I'm talking about. The mayor's office, the governor. That does not surprise me that Colorado's not going to allow an event like that happen in January. However, Houston did come out and say we are a go for 2021.
Which again, they came back and were able to go to Fort Worth and finish out the series and do some things that they were off the cuff, essentially. That was different, and so they continue to try and work to get to that point, which is great.
And kudos to the PRCA leadership for saying, "Hey, we can't leave a rodeo that big with that much of an effect on the standings. We can't allow that to just not happen.
Right.
We have to figure out a way to finish it up somewhere." I think they would have done the same thing if San Antonio would have had to close down because there's too much money at those two rodeos. And I think if the NFR, if they can pull off the NFR, they can do it with a minimal outbreak of COVID-19 when it's over. Then I think Fort Worth goes, San Antonio goes, Austin goes, Angelo. I think your big Texas winter rodeos happen because as long as Governor Abbott lets it happen, then it'll go. The one that bothered me the most, because I thought it was going to be the preemptor for the rest of them, was Kansas City. When the American Royal said we are not having a barbecue rodeo, all of that stuff. I mean, they still had livestock shows. They're still doing those kind of things, just no outside crowds.
They did a youth rodeo for 2 days. They were doing.
But what was the attendance restrictions for that?
Only parents,
right? Only family, right?
It was supposed to be only mom and dad, and then as you know in rodeo, mom and dad turned into grandma and grandpa.
18 people in the trailer.
Well, but on the flip side of that, normally the Royal has
10,000 kids,
25 schools that have bust in and to watch the event.
And it was a different feel. I sat in there the other day and watched the kids compete, and the level of competition was where it is every year. I mean, they were the same level, same kids, same knocking it out. And you heard the kids say, "I miss the kids screaming." And that's something from those that haven't been to the American Royal. I mean, it's loud, and there's so many schools in there, and they're cheering them on, and they keep them pumped up. And In fact, they made a joke over to Corey Keith, who was announcing, just said, when you announced the McDonald's, you had to ba.
Yeah.
I mean, there were different things like that. And so, but the kids that were competing this year, they noticed a difference, and they said, man, we kind of missed that. And so I'm looking forward to next year where we have an opportunity to have it back and
get back to something.
And kudos again to the PRCA about allowing a lot of these off the cuff events take place. I know just had a one out and
sanctioning the rigging rallies, sanctioning the Bronx and the event last night at the Survey Ranch.
I mean that event yesterday or last night out there was something that that's not been done anywhere.
And what they did was, so they allowed some things to happen this year. Have they opened a big door for more of those to happen?
I hope so.
Possibly.
And that's what I was thinking.
My only comeback on that is, okay, if we sanction a bunch of bareback rides, a bunch of bronc rides, and a bunch of bull rides, what happens to the rodeos that are on those same exact weekends when they don't get players? Rodeos that have been around for 75 years.
Well, but I think that's
that on
where,
a Saturday night have 2 bull riders because there's an extreme bulls going on somewhere else.
But I think that's where you have to look at a committee and say, hey, you know what? They stepped outside of the box in a time to allow these cowboys to come there. Those guys are going to start paying homage to those events. I mean, it's like
So you think if a rodeo canceled in 2020, but a rodeo stayed going, like let's say Mobridge, South Dakota, they stayed hooked.
Mm-hmm.
You think them Cowboys remember that the following year that event had a rodeo and the other one didn't?
I think they do.
I don't think they do at all.
No, they just got too many of them.
I think it's going to come down to dollars and cents. It's just it's the same look. Like, I mean, take Bridwell's out in California and their event in Oregon. I mean, they split it up and added breakaway rope, and they're doing everything they can because there's not been any West Coast rodeos.
No, there hasn't been anything on the West Coast.
And all of a sudden, you go back and look at, I think it was Orrin Larson won the event in bareback ride. I think he was like 88 points. I mean, that's an NFR quality event when nothing was going on over a weekend where they probably should have been in Pendleton.
Right. So do they choose to go to Pendleton next year? Or do they go to Bridwell's event?
No, they're going to go to Pendleton because some of those events aren't going to happen again. I mean, they're going to have to make changes and make day changes and things. But
I'm afraid that the little rodeos that went out there, busted their rear, still had a rodeo that had 800 contestants this year. They won't see that kind of turnout the next year.
Well, I mean, you and I worked one this summer. We worked Eureka, Kansas together.
Yeah.
Scott announced I was specialty act. Justin Rumford was clown. The opportunity to have the personnel there and then to have, I don't remember how many contestants were there.
That was unbelievable numbers.
But that rodeo was able to just jam packed in the middle of COVID. And so I think those Cowboys will remember the hospitality and those things.
Well, obviously they'll remember because it's an event and it was an event during a time of COVID and all that kind of stuff. But is it enough that it would keep them from attending another event during that same time to go back there next year?
I don't know because I think guys end up different year. Yeah.
Because I bet next year, I'm sitting here looking at the numbers. I'm going to take bull riding, right? You look at the numbers, the monies. Sage is coming in with $92,000.
Lowest amount of money he's probably ever went into the NFR with.
Right. Yep. But Kai and Boudreaux and some of those other guys, that's probably the most that they've been at that situation. Boudreaux, I think, had a little more than that last year. But so next year, when we're talking about, hey, we remember, Cody Rodeo Company had this great event when no one else was having one. And it was a really good event. But yet now.
But it added 2,000.
Right. So then, but there's another event. And money's the big thing. You think between the top 4, there's only $10,000 difference. So a 500 here, 1,000 here, 2,000 here, 3,000 here. Is it enough to keep everybody going back to that event? Who knows? Exactly.
I don't know. I think
time will tell.
Again, I think you've got a number of people that are in different positions right now than they were a year ago, and we've said before, you got a lot of guys that have got jobs right now.
Well, it's different from exactly. You got people who have jobs.
Yeah.
Right. So it may be different for Sage than it is for fugate.
I'll say you look at Denton. Denton's 15th in the world, getting the opportunity to go his very first NFR. Congrats,
Right.
Denton.
Where in the world is? I don't even know how to say that name in Missouri.
Come on.
Where's he from?
Neongua.
Where's that?
Missouri.
Is it in Missouri or Missouri?
It's
It's Missouri.
I thought it was
Neongia.
It sounds like he did.
But so my point
it's
being
not
is,
in Missouri.
you're right. So there are guys who
No,
have
it's
jobs who
Nagoya.
have made it through this a little bit easier than some. So it affects a Sage Kimsey versus a first timer differently.
yeah. No,
I think you're right on that.
it's Nagoya.
It is
And it's-
3 hours and 30 minutes from here, in
Yeah.
between
It's down south.
Springfield
yeah.
and Lebanon.
It's Missouri.
It's by Phillipsburg and Conway, Missouri, if you know where those places
Yeah,
are.
which doesn't, again, never even heard of them.
It's in Missouri. But congratulations to Denton for making his very
Yep.
first
So on that,
Wrangler National Finals.
so to follow up my point, this was really my point. So the Sage, the Kai, and the Boudreaux, the top four have 10,000 between them, right? So if you look at 15, you look at 5 above and 5 below, right?
Mhm.
So that money is $5,000 difference, $6,000 difference, right? Do you look at 15, 14, 13, and 10, that's like, a handful of couple events, right? Made the difference. So you're right. I mean, there may be some new loyalties or new attachment to some events that did happen, but I'm betting next year there'll be a lot of events full.
And it's just going to depend on who's going to be able to have rodeos next year, and are we going to go through a half a year like this again, where only certain states are going to allow it to happen and other ones won't? So that's
It's trickled down too, like to the mini rodeos. The youth stuff.
Yeah.
They've had to change around and move events just to accommodate. Just the Yeti stuff, the preparation of the events to qualify there, and then high school.
not in Missouri, man. We're filling them up with the old junior rodeos. It's big.
How many people were at the last one, Cody? Not contestants or not audience, but
I don't know.
80% of them.
Probably.
Yeah.
And our youth finals is in a couple weeks, and it's going to
It may be more than that.
be jam packed. It'll be jam packed.
The Mocan finals. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So again, the National Finals Rodeo will be held at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. The National Final Steer Open, I believe there's still. I think it's going to be in Mulvane the first weekend of November. Still waiting on official word on that. The American Buck and Bull Incorporated will hold their World Finals with the PBR Finals, but it will be held at the Will Rogers Memorial Complex there in Fort Worth, around Dickies Arena. And the Yeti World Finals, Youth World Finals, that is held at Cowboy Christmas traditionally, will be at Cowtown Coliseum during the week of the NFR. There'll be trade shows all around the Fort Worth area. The buckle presentation and stuff is going to happen at Cowtown. There's going to be a lot of exciting things going on around the National Finals and the PBR Finals. We've got some exciting stuff that we'll let you know just as soon as we can talk about it, because it's going to be really, really good. And it has also been for as much terrible stuff that has turned positive in the rodeo business, there's been some terrible stuff that that you can't fix. One of those was Rex Bugby, the pickup man that I literally remember from the first rodeo I ever watched in Kansas, watching that guy pick up, thinking he was the greatest cowboy I'd ever seen, and he died from injuries of a horse picking up wreck in Guyman, Oklahoma. The night before the rodeo even started, it was a special broncs and roping deal that they have, and so they buried Rex at the most cowboy funeral that I have ever witnessed in my life.
Yeah, I mean he was a Cowboy's cowboy, and always I can remember him as being a little kid growing up around Kansas, in Kansas, with Kansas rodeos, and it was. I said the other day, I always remember Rex with Jimmy. That was just kind of the recollection that I was always, wherever you saw Crothers, you saw Bugby, and it was vice versa. It was just they were inseparable.
Yeah.
And as he went later on in his career, when New Frontier broke off from Frontier, and he was still around, and then definitely, the last few years we got to see him when Frontier had high school rodeos in the summer, and you always saw him in passing or at the NFR at the. His smile every night, the last few years, every time Jerry's won a buckle, you could see Rex's smile from ear to ear.
Yeah.
And so it was just definitely it's heartbreaking, but I'm going to tell you that I would think that any, to go out picking up, Justin McKee said, to go out doing truly what he loved to do.
Painful reminder for all of us.
It is.
That it's not, you can go to the NFR, and what are you going to talk about? You're not going to talk about the pickup guy who saved the cat. You're not, you talk about, Sage, you're talking about Shay, you're talking about a lot of things, but it's a reminder that says, oh man, these things don't happen without other guys putting themselves at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a pickup man, you don't really think of death being one of the things that was going to take place, but you know what? For, just use the NFR, 30 horses a night at a full run. You put a lot of trust in the horses that you ride, and those guys are riding unbelievable horses, especially Rex. I mean, you look at Rex's string was just, they're a phenomenal set of horses. Just watching them work. But you don't expect that. I think we see more death in rodeo because of social media. We're more, I don't even know the correct word right here, but it's that I think we're more aware of it because of social media.
Yeah, you get it
last
faster.
2 weeks ago, Rowdy Swanson died due to injuries in Texas, and we knew about it that fast. Whereas it used to be, word would just travel, and now it's somebody
instantaneously. Yeah.
And I've seen this summer, I've seen truck wrecks, trucks and trailers flipped over, and pictures of those things, and we forget that. I forget, especially myself, because I'll load up this weekend and I'll put 4 horses on with the kids, and I'll run 80 mile an hour down the interstate fully loaded with the living quarters trailer and truck and not think twice about it. And I really should. And because we become immune to,
there's almost a move on mental.
There is.
You don't want, I hear bull riders talk. We've talked about it. Actually, last year at the Kansas City event, we had everybody, a lot of guys in our. And there was once, and Stetson goes, "Hey, stop talking about that. I don't even want to hear that.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't want that part of the conversation." And Fabiano, watching Fabiano have his.
And how about that? How about the fact that you see a video again instantly,
right?
Just to watch him walk, him touch the screen with his fingers and do the things, and it's like. Yep. Man,
his recovery.
Yeah,
that's going to be part of that.
Yeah,
because we all feel like he's part of our family already.
Yeah,
and then to watch that's amazing. And there's. I remember when that first happened, everybody's like, "Oh, that was really serious." Well, then all of a sudden, reports started coming out 24 hours later, 40. And then
it was serious.
That was beyond serious.
Yeah,
that's
it's not and that's where our sport and.
It can happen.
And anything can happen in our sport.
Not to get in the 100X helmets area, but I mean that's why we've done what we've done is to try to.
No, that is why we've done. I mean, we can talk about it. I mean, we see that. We got a call the other day, and we don't very rarely do we ever talk about this stuff on air. But you get that. We got a kid that called me personally on my cell phone, and I'm not sure where he even got my number. Not that it's not out there everywhere, but. He called and just said, "Man, I want to thank you guys. I wouldn't be here." And then we get the video, and it's like, "Holy smokes, this kid just got smoked."
Mm-hmm.
And he's okay. And he called, and he I think the realization of because that was the same week that Rowdy died. It was the same. It was that, wow, that could have been me. Mm-hmm. And so, that's why Chris and I do what we do every day. And there are just 2 of us, and we do try and answer the phone and ship stuff out and do as much as we possibly can. And there are weeks that it's busier than others, which has been awesome because now that rodeo has started back up, now everybody starts to need their stuff. And we hadn't even got into college rodeo, we hadn't got into high school rodeo. I mean, you've got events this summer that got moved. They ended up in Lazy E.
Yep.
Junior high finals did not happen. You've got college finals that didn't happen, and now you've got college rodeos that are taking place. Some of them are taking place 2 times a weekend up here north of us right now. They're trying to get in rodeos while they can, and so I think that what I have seen, I guess, in rodeo in the last 6 months is that they've really banded together, whether rodeos are canceled or not canceled. We're still seeing some growth, which is what we had to have. I love seeing the rigging rallies. I love seeing the last chance shoot, like what happened last night and so up at Cervies. That's awesome because that's for so many years, everybody always said, I can't get bareback riders. I can't do this. And now all of a sudden we've got an influx of bareback riders. I mean, going back to the Yeti world, I mean, we've got all these things that are taking place with rodeo, and it's like, it's time. I mean, we're truly at a time where it's like, now it's time to keep pushing, because as society continues to break down around us, they are. We don't see the breakdown in our industry. We don't see the breakdown in our people. We don't see the breakdown, in the cowboy hat. And I think that's where.
Well, hopefully we can all build back the momentum we had, in the first quarter of this year. It just says.
First quarter was pretty awesome this year.
Yeah.
It really was.
First quarter was.
We were slamming and going, and everybody we came off the NFR, and it was like a whole new world had hit us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the world stopped. But you know what? I think as we look forward to the next 60 to 90 days of what rodeo has to offer, man, I just saw Danny Reagan make a post the other day. Hey, guys, be getting it on your mind, because they're going to Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, right away.
They got Arcadia.
Yeah. So they're headed to Florida, and all of a sudden it's like, dang it, look at this. I mean, we're already looking at the 21 season. So all those guys that missed out on the 20 season, now I've got an opportunity to go home and tune up horses and go right back to work.
Yep.
Because it's that time of year. And breakaway roping. How about that? I mean,
the top 15 cowgirls in the world are going to compete in Globe Life Field for 3 days to crown a world champion in that event. That was something that just, again, something that was just sprung up the other day.
Yeah,
$200,000 prize pot. Hey, cool.
But look at the amount of. I say this because my middle daughter breakaways. You go from what used to be 6 or 8 breakaway ropers in the youth rodeo. Our high school, I think we've got 24, 25.
Yeah, it's full all of a sudden.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
And I think it's great because we still see all the barrel racers, don't get me wrong. But those same girls that are hands and can carry a rope and stuff, it's fun to watch. I mean, the youth rodeo at the Royal the other day, I mean, Gizmo's granddaughter ended up winning the breakaway, and I was standing right there in the box and watching, that's what I love about the breakaway is, you see her dad, Jimmy's he's pushing her calf, and she's back in the box, and next thing you know, the legacy continues to move on with what we're doing. Yeah. So
on a kind of different note, we were talking about this earlier and kind of got off it. We were talking about the NFR, the PBR, the world, or the other things happening there in Arlington, and the World Series is actually there.
Right before the PBR.
Right before.
Yeah.
Do you think that saturates that community, or do you still think? I know the NFR, a lot of people coming. It doesn't matter. It's like in Vegas. Everybody's going to travel.
The World Series, baseball World Series.
Yeah.
Oh, the Rangers make it?
No.
They moved the entire World Series to Globe Life Park. To whatever 2 teams do make it.
Oh,
and
really?
It's right before the PBR World Finals.
Didn't even know there was a baseball season.
I mean, neither. I honestly, until yesterday, we were on a conference call with something going on. I was like, oh yeah, I guess baseball's still going. I guess they're in playoffs now.
Yeah, no, I mean it's all still. I mean,
I kind of felt that way about basketball too, though. I guess some friends posting stuff, and I'm like, gosh, I thought basketball was over a long time ago.
And it might saturate the market. We'll find out.
But I don't think so, because I think you're
demographics.
Oh yeah, I think you've got a demographic of those that are still paying attention to baseball this year. Are the diehards? They're looking forward to going to Arlington.
And I think the demographic of the PBR fan is different than the demographic of the people that go to the NFR. I think there's a little bit of crossover, but I think there's a lot of people that are diehard PBR fans that don't look at rodeo or wouldn't go to the national finals.
Oh, I agree.
We point to it. The PBR points to a different demographic.
I'm excited to see what the outfits are in Texas versus the outfits in Vegas.
I bet it's.
I mean, honestly,
I bet it's a little bit more conservative.
Well, who knows? I hope that they're out there. I mean, it's that's what's awesome about Vegas because it's like
no Fremont Street.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'm talking about the cowboys and cowgirls that show up to go to the NFR. All of a sudden, they look like they just ran by Barnum and Bailey's and went into the wardrobe and came out. And next thing you know, they're walking into the NFR. They're going.
You think that'll change?
I think it will.
I think not so much.
You don't think so?
I think everybody's going to want to dress up because they haven't got to dress up so much at these other ones at Houston and Fort Worth.
Every 15 minutes you're going to hear the stars at night are big and bright.
Yeah.
And
yeah, well.
And then we're going to have to go, hey, not all cowboys live in Texas.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's true, especially if you look at the list this year. I mean, it's a pretty broad list.
All cowboys might not be from Texas, but by God, Texas is going to host them. Texas is opening their doors to make sure it's going to happen.
Miniature bull riders, it's going to happen. I think they've talked about having it during PBR finals. You know, the MBR.
Haven't got it. I don't think anything's finalized.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's there because you've got a number of that's our future. Man, there's been a lot. I mean, we could sit and talk and continue to go on, but I think this is we're back now every week. We'll be make sure you tune in and if you need something or hear something, want something, ask us. We do have a big announcement coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big announcement.
Pretty cool for everybody.
Yeah. And so we are trying to not just be another podcast, but try and be the hands and feet of people that are within the industry that are different than we don't want to just give recaps and things. There are a number there are those out there, but what's different about us is I hope that we can bring something a little different every week and get back on track to where we were. It's been a long 3 months hiatus, but it's been good.
Yeah, so stay up on social media with all of the happenings. We'll give you all the updates that we know. Again, our thoughts are still with Terry. And the entire Rex Bugby family, Donna McSpadden, who was Clem McSpadden's wife, probably the greatest lady that I ever knew. She passed away a couple weeks ago. So 2020's been crazy. 2021 better be better. And like Cody said, we got a lot of big things coming up on the Two Big Guys and Grover podcast, including a big announcement here in the next couple weeks. And if you've got something, again, that you want to hear about, you want to see us dive deeper into, if there's an interview you want to see happening, you want us to ask all these tough questions to somebody, you got 3 tough guys right here.
Plan on spending some time with us during the NFR.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Plan on seeing us in Arlington. It's going to be a good time for the Wrangler. That's right. It is the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. It has a title sponsor. It's supposed to be used. Sorry, I'm a Wrangler guy.
I know you are. I haven't been able to be a Wrangler guy, but I might be able to.
You're getting
Wrangler. Getting closer. So
what's the number, Cody?
Not there yet.
Yeah, if you cannot tell through your lens,
what's the number?
This guy right here is
105.
The weight.
I'm down 111.
Down 111 pounds. That's just one of the reasons why the old podcast been on a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
I've been gone rodeoing a little bit, and everybody else has been a little busy. Plus, we got a new studio.
We do.
Yeah.
Beautiful downtown Platte City, Missouri. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Two Big Guys and Grover podcast.